Welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. Join us for the latest in news, views, and conversation with community leaders. The Pulse of Spokane is brought to you in part by Breakthrough Incorporated and Homes for You. Now, put your finger on the Pulse of Spokane.
Welcome to the first edition of Pulse on Tuesday. Actually, we used to do it, kind of cut it out toward the end of summer, and we've just been doing the Wednesday Pulse program. And now we've added back Tuesday because we're having to put guests out so far. We want to get them in quicker. A lot of things going on in Spokane. And I'm especially pleased today to have my friend and colleague, Neal Boling, who is the station manager at KHQ, our local station, family-owned and run station here in Spokane. We're going to talk about the industry as a whole, but also KHQ and SWX with Neal. And then Ryan and Chelsey Graves from Betspo. We'll talk about what Betspo is when they're here later. Next on the Pulse of Spokane.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. McNeese Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeese Wheeler Attorneys.
I'm Nikki Butler, and I'm a regional manager for STCU. My lunch buddy is Nicole.
I'm Brandy Schloss. I'm a regional manager at STCU. My lunch buddy is Angelina. She's grown up with me. I've grown up with her. To see her graduate will be a lot of fun.
Brandy and I have been lunch buddies since the girls were in second grade. It's great that STCU provides me with the opportunity to be part of Reach for the Future. We are committed to the children. We're committed to our community. I'm Nikki.
I'm Brandy.
And STCU is here for good.
This is River Ridge Frame Shop, called Frame It Today, where we can take your art, customize it, and get it ready to hang on the wall. Here at River Ridge Hardware, 2803 West Garland.
Well, sitting next to me over here on the other side of the monitor, or as we call it in the industry, the BAM. Do you want to admit what it stands for?
No, this is a family-friendly program, right?
Monitor, right?
That's right, yep.
Yeah. Neal Boling, you've had to put up with me for about, 5 years now or so?
Yeah, I think it's been longer than that.
It seems, at least seems like double that,
Yes.
right? Neal, thank you. You have helped us with a lot of suggestions and so forth, and a lot of that comes from your work in the past, but also what you do today at KHQ. You are known in the industry for your forward thinking. It's a changing industry, isn't it? Let's maybe, both as station manager at Q and as an expert in the field, what's going on with broadcast TV today? Because it's not what it was back in the 50s and 60s when there were 3 networks. And of course, it was over the air and it was analog. I get that.
Well, with all due respect to my predecessors, who had one TV station, that's all they had to worry about.
Yes.
It was a very profitable business model back in the day, especially when you only had to worry about a broadcast signal that was getting sent out 4 or 5 times a day from a local news perspective.
Okay, right.
Now, you look at our spectrum, what we broadcast over the air. We have not only KHQ, but we have SWX, you mentioned earlier, our sports network, which now spans all of Montana.
Sports and weather, right?
Sports and weather, with a heavy emphasis on sports.
Yes.
And then we have so much in the way of so many different beasts that we have to feed. Everything from social media to digital video, which we're getting very aggressive in launching a whole bunch of new digital video channels that we're hoping to kind of capitalize on this real interest in digital video that exists out there. We've been
Explain that, because digital video, I hear that a lot, but I'm sure that some of our viewers are going, well, what does he mean?
Sure. So there's really two different kinds of video right now that can be consumed from a news standpoint.
Okay.
One is broadcast video, which we've been doing for 67 years now. The other is digital video, which can go to any place that you can consume on a digital device.
Okay.
So think your Roku at home, your Amazon Fire Stick. That's under a subsection called OTT, over the top. Then there's just the regular laptop or your desktop computer. People are consuming.
Or your iPhone.
Your iPhone, whether it's the mobile app or the mobile website. People are consuming incredible amounts of video now. I think it really kind of goes back to YouTube. When YouTube really started gaining traction in about 2005, that's the expectation now. People are going to, even they'll listen to their music using YouTube.
Really?
I mean, that's like one of the leading sources.
So if they're out jogging, they might be having YouTube.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's funny.
So with digital video, from a business standpoint, there's really two different kinds of digital video. There's ad-supported, which is the fancy industry vernacular is AVOD, which means advertising VOD, or video on demand.
Okay.
So that's what we're putting out there. We're putting on commercials that essentially that's how we fund our news gathering process.
Right.
The alternative business model is subscription. So when you think of Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu, all of these other services, that you pay a subscriber fee, but then you don't have to watch commercials. Okay. Sometimes there's a hybrid of those. Like Hulu offers, it's kind of a freemium model where you have to pay for a reduced number of commercials.
Okay.
But that's really at its core. The struggle with commercials, I think, is what we're as an industry going to be dealing with for the next at least 10 years or so. The commercials have to be meaningful. They have to be impactful for the end user.
Because what do people do if they're not?
They'll turn them off.
They'll go somewhere else.
Well, and worse yet, they will not associate the brand that is being advertised in a very positive light.
Yes.
So I think my belief, and this is shared by a number of people in the industry, is that our commercial breaks need to get much shorter.
Yes.
Certainly not on the order of 3 minutes. And the spots themselves not only have to be shorter, but they have to be more impactful. They have to relate to me as a consumer directly.
Or I'm not intrigued at all.
I'm not going to engage with that particular commercial.
Right.
So one of the things that we're doing on the digital video side, one of the grand experiments here, is we're taking, we're eliminating commercial breaks, as it were.
Okay.
We're having, maybe you'll see a story followed by another story, followed by a very short commercial, and I'm talking like 6 seconds in length.
Okay.
You can get a lot out in 6 seconds, believe it or not.
And you don't lose the viewer.
You don't lose the viewer. There's not enough time for them really to grab the remote and say, I'm out of here. I'm done with this. So if we don't assault them with the commercials, I think we could have a win-win, because the reality is broadcast television, despite this commercial problem, if you will, which, that's our bread and butter. That's how we make our money. And it is still by far and away the most impactful way for a brand to get its message across to people. We have still we're local television news. The new surveys that have come out show that about 77% of the overall audience view local TV as the most trusted form of information.
And that's probably the one thing that, for the most part, people watch live.
Yes,
I mean, honestly, I tell the story that my wife and I probably record most of the other things and time shift it to our time. But the news, no.
Well, the news has a very limited shelf life,
yes.
Even on a local level.
Right.
So, and sports is the same way. Sports, it used to be thought of
and weather, unless you're in February when it just snows.
Yeah, exactly. Sports used to be thought of as completely DVR proof, but now what we're seeing is that people want to DVR it and actually fast forward to, either the end of the game or just show me the highlights or something to that effect.
Yeah, how do you deal with the fact that people are recording a lot of programs today, and by virtue of doing that, there's some skipping of commercials? Let's face it, we all do it. I'm going to guess you do it.
I've never skipped a commercial. Kent, ever.
Right.
Actually,
at least none from your station.
What you're describing to me is actually what I call a 2008 problem, because that's when DVRs really reached critical mass. People were recording a lot. Now, people still did consume, and they still do today, commercials, even if they're fast forwarding, because sometimes something will catch their eye and they want to rewind it. And we've tried all kinds of gimmicks at our station from a promotional standpoint. And when I say promotion, I mean watch KHQ, we're the best, those kinds of spots. Those are the most fun things that we can produce there. But we've tried different things like, slipping in a freeze frame right before the commercial break ended. Yeah. And so as people fast forward and they press play, they're like, they see this quick
because
screen
it goes
grab.
Back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're like, well, no, what did that say? And so they'll pause it and they'll read it. And you would be shocked how many people actually went to the web address that we put up on that little screen.
So it works.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah, totally. It also shows how many people are consuming the content later, because almost all of that traffic came 2 weeks later as people binge shows and that sort of thing.
Wow. It really keeps you and others in your business on your toes to figure this out. And you're right about the commercials. I laugh at some of the commercials I see. My wife will turn to me and go, "What was that for?" Mm-hmm. And my answer is, it's for the ad agency to win an award. Because it did not sell the product or brand the company or whatever very well, but it was cute. Yeah, sometimes you got to get past cute,
I think we tend to outsmart ourselves sometimes, know, and I've been guilty of that on the promotional side of things. It's like people, what did that mean? I totally don't get it. And you're like, oh, but it was so brilliant.
I get that a lot with your text messages. But
yeah, totally. I think that the industry is at an interesting point because what's old again, or what's old is new again.
Yes.
And you look back at the old commercials that used to air, and I'm talking like 30, 40 years ago. They were very simple. They usually had a jingle of some kind.
Yes.
There was something that made you remember them.
Yes.
And I think that spots now, we're starting to come back to that realization. It's one of the reasons our loyal KHQ viewers can blame me for this. Whenever I heard the NBC chimes, dung, 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 I always heard in my head, KHQ. And so I actually had our music vendor sing that. And so that's why I had that as an idea.
Could have been worse. You could have been singing.
Well, yeah, you just even this brief moment you just heard, I hope you can scrub that.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is how many people tell me that their kids sing that in the morning, like in the car or on the way to school, KHQ. And I find that incredibly cool because it's like, wow, just this weird harebrained idea that we had actually resonates with people,
Well, we're going to come back to the incredibly cool Neal Boling after we take a quick break and talk about some other things going on too. We'll be right back.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Welcome to a new kind of talk show, Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity.
Spokane Talks, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox 28.
O'Brien Logistics would like to invite you to try our local and regional transportation services. With Sprinter vans, lift gates, hot shot flatbeds, and expedited services, our people are ready to step in and help with your transportation needs. Our services are 24/7, 365, and we are trained and prepared to handle air cargo and Canadian shipments. Give us a call at 208-305-2311 or visit our website at o'brienlogistics.net. That's OBRIEN logistics.net.
Well, welcome back to part two with Neal Boling, station manager at KHQ. And you know, one of the things when I look at KHQ, and yes, I worked there years ago, and I was in sales, the guys down on the floor, you know, that are the reporters and anchors. Oh, they're just in sales. Yeah. But anyway, a good group of people. You continue to have the named people. I think of Sean Owsley and Dan Kleckner, who may be his first night back from hip surgery tonight.
I heard
this
Dan's
week.
voice this morning,
Oh,
so maybe
he's in the building.
He's definitely in the building,
Okay,
whether or not he'll be air cleared.
Wheelchairing him in?
Yeah, exactly. No,
and Stephanie, but you've had the consistency of that image and name over the years. How helpful is that?
It's incredibly helpful. You know, our audience in some cases grows up with these anchors. In some cases, they get a lot older watching these anchors.
Yes.
Dan and Steph, they've been together now 22 years.
Right.
And people at home, believe it or not, they mistakenly think that they're married sometimes because they've just they're you know,
they're just in sync.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Yes.
You know, they're
Oh, that's not the greatest analogy. Okay. All right. Dan, he called you Clyde, okay?
Yeah, he can be an outlaw in the spirit of Clyde Barrow. But that is a huge advantage for us right now with just audience loyalty more than anything.
Yes.
You know, our competition last week saw the retirement of Nadine Woodward.
Right.
And I mean, she's a humongous name in this market.
Yes.
From a broadcast standpoint. And you know, we're even over at KHQ like, well, what are they going to do? You know, because they can't just bring in somebody from out of market and instantly form that connection. That takes time.
Honestly, and this is my point of view, not necessarily yours, but there's another station in town that has had newer anchors in the last, I'm going to say 4 to 6 years. Mm-hmm. And I have, honestly, I think I've told you this before, I struggle to remember who they are. Mm-hmm. Okay? I know, not because I work there, I know who the anchors and many of the reporters are at KHQ, a few over at KXLY because they've been there for a while, like the morning crew and some things like that. But that's where I go to watch is Q because they're part of the
family. It's familiar. It's comfortable.
Yes.
Some people liken us to family, and it's really. It's hard right now to hang on to these big time anchors, is what I call them. I have a lot of sympathy for different TV stations that have lost some of these big names because. You know, it's not like the industry is printing money or anything.
Right.
You know, we are under a lot of pressure as an industry to control our expenses and so forth.
Yes.
And really to push the max of the traditional anchor would come in and roll in about 4 o'clock, maybe read through the scripts.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Although I'm sure that never happened at KHQ.
Right.
And then
some used to come in the morning and count words.
Exactly. Yes.
We won't mention names.
We won't get into that. But we, nowadays you're not limited if you're a news anchor to just your token 1 hour of broadcast.
Right.
You've got all kinds of digital platforms that you're now servicing throughout the day. You're trying to bring more value essentially to the station and to the company.
How hard is that to get folks who have been doing it one way for 15 or 20 years to realize now they're on all these various platforms? They got to record audio for here, video and audio over there, and I would guess load it, or do they give it to a producer? I mean, how does that work today in a market our size?
It's pretty automated. I mean, technology has made it fairly streamlined. To answer your question, it depends. You know, some of the anchors who might be a little closer to retirement are just kind of like, I don't want to play in this world. Right. But there's others that I've had a mantra for about a year now, which is that we need to produce the way we consume. Okay. So when I see anchors over there playing on Facebook or checking news apps and reading stories and stuff like that on their phones or iPads or whatever.
They're not communicating with their viewers.
Well, the more to the point, that is where they are. That's how they're consuming information. Why do we make the assumption that the other viewers aren't consuming it the exact same way? Okay, and yet there's been this mindset of, well, I need to worry about the broadcast.
Yeah, I got to get ready for the 5 o'clock. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. When increasingly our reputation as news providers is tied to those digital products. Wow. Those are the things that, you know, once it's written, it remains, first of all. That's the old Aaron Burr saying. Yeah. But, you know, if you fail to get the story out there in a timely fashion, the viewers are going to say, oh, what are they doing? How are they? They're asleep at the wheel.
How important is it in a market our size to beat the competition on a story?
Well,
at least a breaking story.
You're probably asking the wrong guy, because I got into this business for the competitive reasons. Okay. I mean, that's still one of the thrills is when you turn on the...
You're a producer at heart.
I am.
You really are.
I'm a recovering producer. And you can take the guy out of the newsroom, but you can never take the newsroom out of the guy.
So are you meddling all the time down in the newsroom?
No.
Wrong word.
I pay those folks to do their jobs and to demonstrate a passion. And part of that passion is winning. And you want to break the story. You want to get it out there first. But I think what is most critical, but beyond being first, is being right. Yes. Our integrity, our trustworthiness, everything hinges on how
and we've seen some stories nationally in the last couple of months that got it all wrong, and took a narrative one way or the other and made an issue out of it. And
that is, that when I mentioned earlier why local news still has such high trustworthy ratings, I think it's because we steer clear of a lot of opinion and a lot of, commentary, I believe, is essential for our democracy. I never...
But you don't really do any editorials or anything, do you?
No, because people are getting quite a bit of commentary.
Everywhere else.
Everywhere else.
So, uncontrolled commentary.
Uncontrolled commentary. And I think that there's on the national frontier, there's a fine line between news and news you can choose. You and I have talked about this a couple of times, just that I don't believe that there are alternate facts. I believe that there's one set of facts, and it's incumbent upon journalists to get those facts out there. I hate partisan, punditry and all of that other stuff.
I think most of us do, even though we might personally use it sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
I think that
we want the honest truth. We want the facts. Let me make some decisions as the viewer or listener or the reader.
I think the danger becomes when you lose your skeptical eye and you just treat everything, that's coming from certain news sources. Right. And I'm not picking on anyone.
I can't believe them.
Yeah, exactly. Just fact check yourself if you're going with more of an ideological based news. But I've thought for 3 years now, one of our biggest challenges in democracy is the fact that people live in a news echo chamber right now. You're either on the MSNBC or CNN side of things, the Fox News, or Facebook, which is feeding you content that you want to see.
Some of it might even be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not everything is fake news, as it were.
No.
But
that term has been used now, even by myself, to cover a lot of things. You know what I mean?
It really runs the gamut right now.
Yeah, it does.
And there is inaccurate reporting. There is fake news. I mean, let's be real about it. But by and large, especially, I mean, I can only speak really to the local broadcasting front.
There's an effort to be truthful and honest.
And down the middle, because, I mean, we have to deal with political stories all the time. And I've had stories where people will call me, to complain about it, and I'll have consecutive calls, one complaining we were too far to the left, and the next too far to the right, which tells me
might have been okay. Yeah,
we're down the middle.
We're in the last couple minutes, and I've just got to ask you kind of the key question, and it involves us a little bit too. But where are things going? Pull out that crystal ball in the next 5 to 10 years. What will KHQ and SWX look like? What will we look like? What are we going to see? Are we going to see more of the buying up of stations across the country into these mega companies? I mean, we've gone from, I don't know what it was years ago, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, a number of stations owned locally. And I think the numbers probably, if you take out the small stations, probably 50 or 25 compared to hundreds a decade or two ago.
Right.
So things are changing. Where are we headed? Where do you think we're headed?
Well, there's two different answers to that. You know,
I want the right answer.
As an NBC affiliate, not only are we charged with local news and national news too, we pass through, but also entertainment programming.
Yes.
And we're at a considerable disadvantage from the entertainment side of things because HBO, Netflix, all of these, content creators that have emerged in the last couple of years, they don't have to play by the same rules that we have to play or NBC has to play by.
And you don't have to set your DVR because you can go to them when you want.
It's instant. It's on demand.
Right.
So you're going to see a continuing fragmentation, I think, of viewers. Really, it all comes down to people want essentially a personalized newscast for themselves, and the move to digital video and so forth will actually enable us to serve that. And pretty soon, what you see when you go to KHQ.com and watch an online newscast could be different from somebody else.
Because it's based on the algorithms that tell us
blockchain and all kinds of fancy technologies that are able to really kind of decipher the types of things that you're interested in. Right. Now, the danger to all of that goes back to the echo chamber.
Yes.
Because if you're basically only consuming news that you're interested in, that doesn't make you very worldly, does it? It doesn't make you have an understanding, a 360
I may miss out
perspective.
on the Boeing 737 that crashed because I don't care about that. I'm more interested in local businesses or something.
Exactly. Okay. So that's going to be, I mean, we as TV news providers for decades, we've been content curators. We're taking the content and we're trying to distill it in a meaningful, understandable way. And we're going to continue doing that, except a lot of it is going to become computerized in that sense. And that's just the natural evolution of technology and everything else. I don't think human beings can be replaced in that regard, though, with news judgment and everything else. Right. And I do think that the TV, the traditional TV newscast, it's going to endure because there's just so many people who are comfortable.
I still need to kind of know what's going on with sports and with weather and local businesses and school closures and those kinds of things. And
habit, when you talk about competitively and ratings and everything, that was the thing that has always driven TV people crazy, is that habit is the number one reason people watch a particular program.
Right.
And shaking people out of that habit, convincing them to watch us, for example, when maybe they want to watch brand X, that has been a very, very tough slog of things.
Will we be down to only one or two stations in town, do you think, for news, local news? Is the cost of running a newsroom, because I remember looking down from the sales department and the number of people, from producers to camera people to on-air reporters and to anchors. That's a number of people that it takes. You can't just set up the camera. You can maybe if you're doing
it's a big production.
It costs people to do it.
Right, no question about it. The common wisdom is, yes, there is going to be some attrition, amongst TV stations. We haven't seen that yet.
No.
I would have expected, Spokane, we tend to be, a few years behind the rest of the nation with these trends. But I think it's because the broadcast megaphone is still the loudest. Right. It is still the biggest. And for that reason, it still makes money. It's still, top of the thing.
But you got to be on top of it constantly, don't you?
Totally.
Yeah.
And our goal really, assuming that transformation happens where there's going to be fewer and fewer outlets for news is to be the last man standing.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
we don't want to be
Well, you've got the
first
legacy,
out.
you've got the viewership, and all the things that go with that. I think it's kind of common knowledge if you ask anybody, it's not going to be KHQ that will be the first to cut back or do something. Neal, thank you.
My pleasure, Ken.
I hope for our viewers it's been informative too. There's just so much going on. We need to have you back, but thank you.
I could talk for
thank
hours
you for
on
all
this.
you do.
Yeah,
Okay, and for
thank
your
you.
friendship. And we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with Ryan and Chelsey Graves right after this.
To help you be safe, Washington state law requires you to call 811 2 full business days before you plan, for example, to dig, drill, plow, pull from, or pound anything into the ground. Be prepared to provide the operator with the correct address, cross street, and the description of your work. You must mark the dig area with white paint. The operator will inform you of the utilities notified of your impending excavation. Wait for all their marks. Be safe and dig with care.
The economy is getting stronger, banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
This is River Ridge Frame Shop, called Frame It Today, where we can take your art, customize it, and get it ready to hang on the wall. Here at River Ridge Hardware, 2803 West Garland.
Welcome to Tom Sawyer Country Coffee.
Tom Sawyer Country Coffee only roasts the finest organic coffee for our signature blends. Enjoy a cup at our coffee shop and local businesses and organizations across the region.
I'm Tom Sawyer and we choose the Pacific Northwest.
Welcome to a new kind of talk show, Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity.
Spokane Talks, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox 28.
Welcome back. Ryan and Chelsey Graves. I had the chance to meet with them a couple weeks ago, and they formed this company that is kind of unique, I think. And welcome to the program, first of all.
Thank you for
You're on
having
our
us.
first Tuesday program in almost
you.
a year, so here we go, right?
Great.
I'm going to say this wrong. Betspo?
Betspo Properties.
And that's short for Better Spokane.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
What is it you do?
So we're a real estate investment company.
Okay.
So our main goal is to find people in distressed situations, people who have a financial burdensome, have a tenant trashed house that they just need off their plate. And to go in and help these people out of these situations, clean it up, and help the neighborhood overall.
Yeah. Now, Ryan, you didn't start off doing this,
I
did
not,
you? You came from kind of a different background.
Just a little bit, yeah.
And I think Chelsey just kind of said, "You're the man. Get it done, right?" Yeah,
He
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yes, I did.
Did he behave and do it?
He fought a little bit, but then he finally started to
What
get
am I
it.
talking about? The fact is that you don't come from a hands-on background, and all of a sudden you're helping to repair and fix up a home. What did you do before?
So I kind of grew up with two parents, a salesman, and my mom, she started her own business, and she did the food brokering and stuff, and she was very instrumental kind of helping me kind of develop my entrepreneurial spirit. And so I've always kind of had that itch of wanting to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So, and so I met Chelsey, and she said, "Hey, this has kind of been my background. This is where I came from, and being a salesman, boy, I did not know how to swing a hammer. I was not very good at that." So,
the two of us. Are, yeah.
So,
He drove a black Ford Taurus and slacks.
Chelsey and I like to laugh. I changed a lot since I met her. So, but I came up to it when we decided to buy our first house back in 2015.
Okay.
To do a little bit of flip, and it's kind of grown from there.
Yeah, because you're a realtor.
Yeah, I've been a realtor for 5 years
so
now.
you come across these opportunities,
Yeah.
right? And so the two of you got together, got married and all of that, right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, you've got a new job to go and fix. And tell me about the very first experience, because I remember you're talking about, oh my gosh, what do I do kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, so we really learned quickly kind of what our roles were in this business. And for me, it was really kind of organizing kind of the contractors and everybody associated with the house. And I learned very quickly that contractors really, they do what they're asked, and that's all they do. So, and so for like trim, for example, there's hanging it, cutting it, painting it, puttying it, and finishing it. And if you just say, hey, just hang it, that's all they're going to do. They don't put it, they don't paint it. So one particular example, we had a house, and we didn't ask our contractor to install the dishwasher, and I had never installed a dishwasher in my life.
Oh boy!
And so I through a lot of YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. It taught me a lot, but I was able, through a lot of people who actually knew kind of what they were doing. I was bouncing ideas off of them, and just kind of the sink or swim mentality of learning how to do it and got it done.
Yeah. Now you come across these properties. How many have you done up until through last year?
So we've done seven of them, and we're on track to do about 16 this year.
I was going to say you have a very aggressive schedule.
Lofty goals.
Yeah. How are you doing meeting that so far? Are you on schedule?
We're on.
Are you really?
About 16. Yeah, we are.
About ahead of schedule.
Okay, so you find these distressed sales, and you come in and you fix them. Then what do you do with them?
So we list them.
Okay.
And I list them as the realtor.
Right.
I'll sell about 50 homes this year, and that just
adds
adds into
all.
my performance. Yeah, I know. So that just adds into that as well. We list them and get homeowners in there, and it's just amazing the impact it has in the neighborhood. We know we've got 3 little kids, and they come with us, and the neighbors come over. Oh my gosh, thank you for cleaning this up. This has been such a problem house for years, and no one's ever done anything. So it's just it's great. The end product's great.
And that's part of the reason for the name of the company, for a better Spokane, isn't it? Because, yes, obviously you wouldn't be doing this if you weren't making a profit. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to buy something, fix it up, and sell it for more, and make the commission and make the improvement, recover all of that and so forth. But it's more than that. Why is it more than that?
Well, I think, a lot of people watch HGTV. The Fixer Uppers, I think, is a huge show nationally.
Right.
There's something to be said about when we are doing the work on these houses that they start from kind of this real rundown look, and then we see the end result, and it's kind of like almost having a kid. Maybe not as not as painful,
but, right?
But
definitely. How do I get a response from you on that?
But going from kind of something so awful and dirty to something so beautiful, it's a really cool moment. It's kind of it's an emotional moment, I think.
What are the reactions to the two people, the two families, if you will, the one you're buying from, because they're probably in either living in it or own it and don't know what to do. Is there a lot of relief that they can move beyond having this eyesore and a magnet for problems in the neighborhood?
It is. We walk through the door and it's, guards are down. You don't have to fix anything. We'll move your stuff out of here. And they're just like, oh my gosh, you've come. Like, thank you so much. This house has been such a headache for us. Like, please just get it off of our plates. If they walk away with a little bit, great. They become headache houses. Even with tenants in them. Some landlords, they live out of state and they've got tenants over here and they have no idea
too much for them to take care of.
And they're like, just get this thing off my plate. I'm not making any money. And that's where we step in, and it's just a hassle-free transaction.
That's got to be fun. And then on the other side is selling to a family or individuals who get to move into that, and they probably have a home that's much nicer than they might otherwise have.
And they love it. It's updated. It's nice. Things are done right, and it's they get to move their family in there and just.
So the dishwasher's installed properly.
Well, and to add to that, I think because my job is really to see it from. So Chelsea's kind of forgive the analogy, the Joanna Gaines kind of the style. So what she does is she kind of gives me the vision of what she wants done, and then I take that from start to finish. And for me, the driving force behind what I do. is knowing that there's going to be a family in here.
Yes.
Knowing that is it
Yes.
safe? Is
Yes.
there is the electrical right? Is the plumbing correct?
Our
All that
kid's
stuff
gonna be
is
safe.
very important. Is asbestos, which we all know can be an X factor. So for me, the second family is even more important for me from that aspect, because I want to create a good household.
Are you at every closing, at every handing over the keys to the new family?
I am.
Chelsey does
definitely.
that.
Yeah. I think it's really
That's
important.
got to be fun and exciting and a warm moment, doesn't it? You know, because we can all go through life and sell houses and list houses and everything else like you do in your business and so forth. But to know you've made impact on at least 2 families.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what drives us.
Yeah.
You know, that really is what drives. I mean, for me, Chelsey and I, we both really grew up giving back as much as we could to the community. I grew up here in Spokane, so Spokane is very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
And if we can help the people out in the city, that's a huge
That's
plus.
terrific.
Yeah.
Okay, people might have a home or might be looking for a home. How can they reach one or both of you?
Absolutely. So that you can go to betspo.com. There we have a contact us.
Okay.
Where they're able to get on and fill out their information, tell kind of what situation they're in. And then obviously Chelsey does real estate, so you can get a hold of her. She works for Keller Williams.
Okay.
And then from that point
And,
forward,
it sounds like from talking to you a week or so ago and today, you make it easy for everybody.
So that's really our goal, and with integrity.
Yeah,
that
because
absolutely is
that
important.
and buying a car
Right.
are the 2 things that, do we have to?
Yeah.
I mean, my wife and I've talked about, do you think it's time for downsizing? No, I don't want to deal with it,
No,
okay?
absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so we go through that, and when you can help take care of that and make it easy, then it becomes a fun experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. And you know, for us, we wanted to make it quick, and painless. You know, quick turnaround, close times are very important to us. We know it is for them too. And we also know that the house is a very sensitive subject when it comes to just your life. You grew up there, you have kids there. We understand that.
So when you go to buy a house and take over, you sometimes do it like in a week time, or
we can close in 2 weeks normally.
Two, and that's pretty fast.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah, because the industry today is what, 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah,
45
days
minimum.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you. One more time, how do they reach you?
Betspo.com.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first
BETSPO.com.
Yep, short for Better Spokane. Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
love seeing when there's the passion that goes with running a business.
No short
And that's the
enthusiasm
fun part of it all. So thank you for what you do.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Good. Thanks for watching. We're on again tomorrow. We've got some great guests tomorrow noon on the Pulse of Spokane. Have a great day, everybody.
The Pulse of Spokane is produced in Spokane, Washington by Spokane Talks Media, which is solely responsible for its content. The Pulse of Spokane is brought to you in part by Breakthrough Incorporated and Homes for You. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksMedia.com. We wish you a great day.